kind of rating. The only time that it will be taken against you or it will be counted on you is when that complaint became valid. Okay, so once your TM sees that there is really something wrong with the class, that's why you receive that kind of rating, then that complaint is going to be tagged as valid and you will receive a penalty for that. Okay. However, teachers, if your TM saw that you actually didn't do anything in class, like the class went well, then that complaint is going to be tagged as invalid. And once it is already invalid, then it's not going to be taken against you and there will be no penalties. Clear? All right. So again, teachers, for each 5 stars and 4-star ratings, you will earn points. So that is why don't forget that every after class, you can also remind your students to leave your ratings. Okay. However, when you remind them, don't directly ask for 5 stars. Okay. You can just simply ask them to leave you some ratings or to leave you some stars. Clear? Okay, perfect. Now, also, teachers, your teaching points going to be deducted if ever you have absences, bad rating, cancellations. Now, for others here, your TM can also give you teaching points, depending on whatever reasons they have, right? Now, what is the purpose of this teaching points? Now, teachers, you're still starting, so your current level is D1. All right. So it means to say the more points you earn, the higher your level is going to be. So from D1, you're going to go up to D2, D3, and then D4. Okay. Now, once you've reached the level C, then you will receive a certificate. You will also be under salary evaluation. And then, of course, you will be able to unlock more benefits. Right now, teachers, it's kind of easy or it's very easy to reach level C as long as you don't have a lot of absences or cancellations or even complaints. Okay. All right, now let's move on to our teaching dynamics. Now, for this one, teachers, this is just like your tutor client calculator, where it automatically counts if how many completed classes you've had, how many absences, unbooked, canceled, 5-star ratings, and of course, our 1 to 2-star ratings. Now, for this part, teachers, this updates every day and it refreshes every end of the month. Okay. All right. Now, of course, we also have our bulletin board. Now, teachers always remember that whatever message you see on our bulletin board, you have to make sure that you will be able to read them and understand, okay? Because once the message is already posted on our bulletin board, it means to say this message is intended for all Acadsoc teachers, and it's going to be either a big announcement or big changes, okay? All right, good. Now, this is not the only message that we will actually receive, okay? If you click this bell icon here, this is where you will see tons of messages, okay? Now, don't worry because not all of them here are mandatory to read, okay? Now, the only messages here that you're actually required to read would be messages coming from your TMs, okay? Now, you would know if the message is from your TM because they usually put like TM notice, TM share, TM announcements, okay? And of course, once you see a message that starts with important notice, then you are also required to read that message. Okay. Now, for the rest of the messages here, they're already voluntary. Okay. For example, the message that we received today, improve your teaching skills to handle adult beginners. Now, if you want to do this one, if you're free, you have time, then you can just click the link and then you will be redirected to the course. However, if you have classes or you're fully booked, then you can just do this one some other time. Okay. Now, it's not really required for you to do these courses. However, it is advisable because it will also help you gain more students. Okay. All right. Now, aside from these messages here, we also have the warning tab. So just in case that in the future you will receive a warning letter, then this is where you will see it. Okay. Now, Remember, teachers, three warning letters is already ground for termination, right? Now, why do or what are the reasons for us to receive a warning letter? First is, of course, if you have received multiple complaints, okay? Now, if in a month you will receive like three or more complaints, then that's going to be followed by a warning letter. The second reason is multiple absences and cancellations. However, for this part, teachers, this will depend on your TM if how many absences, cancellations will they allow before they give you the warning letter. And when we say absences, teachers, or cancellations, this includes you're being late, late for clocking in, late for class, and leaving the classroom early. All right. Now, aside from this bell icon here, we also have this Wi-Fi icon, or this is what we call our network test. Now, teachers, you can also use this to check your speed test. All right. However, teachers, it's good or it's better if you just use the speedtest.net or fast.com because it's faster and it's more accessible. Right. And then we have another icon here. This is what we call the teacher's task. Now, teachers, we rarely use this icon because the only time that you will use this icon is if ever that you have received a task from either Acadsoc or from your TM. All right. So no worries because once that they will give a task, all of those tasks are voluntary. Okay. They are not mandatory and it's still going to be up to you if you want to do the task or not. Okay. And then we also have this last icon here, which is our temporary classroom. All right. So don't worry, teachers, because we are going to use this icon later when we discuss our teaching platform. But this is also what you can use if you want to check your equipment, let's say your sound, your camera, or your microphone. And also, teachers, whatever you see inside, that is also how our A classroom looks like. So we will talk about more. We will talk about this one later. Okay. So any questions so far? None. Okay, perfect. Now, once you hover your mouse pointer to your name over here, or you click the drop down below your name, or beside your name, I'm sorry. So, beside your name, here you can see your clock in button. Okay. Now, teachers, this is where you put your attendance. Okay. Now, teachers, we only clock in once and we do not clock out. All right. Now, the only time that you will need to clock in is if you have open classes for the day. All right. So, if, for example, you don't have classes today, then of course you may still log in to your tutor client. However, you don't have to clock in since you don't have any classes. You can still navigate your tutor client, you can check your class table, but again, if you don't have any open classes, then you don't have to clock in. All right. Now, for the rules when it comes to clocking in, make sure, teachers, that you will clock in at least 10 to 30 minutes before your first class starts. Okay. Now, teachers, when we say first class, it doesn't matter if you have a broken schedule. Now, when we say broken schedule, there are some teachers who would open, let's say, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and 2 hours in the evening. So again, teachers, it doesn't matter if your schedule's broken. You just have to clock in 10 to 30 minutes before your first class. All right. So for example, your schedule is, let's say, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So basically, your first class is at 6 p.m. So make sure, teachers, that you can already clock in between 5:30 to 5:50. So that's 10 to 30 minutes before 6 p.m. All right. So when we say 6 p.m., teachers, regardless if your 6 p.m. has a student or none, you still need to clock in. Clear? Okay, great. Now, when you clock in, or if ever that you clocked in at 5:51, then that is already considered late. You're going to get penalized for that. Okay. Now, teachers, there are times that we also encounter system problems or system issue because, of course, we have to understand there is no perfect system, right? Now, just in case, for example, you are trying to clock in on time, however, your tutor client application is not opening or not loading, all right? Then, of course, you transfer to the backup, which is our browser. And what if it's also not opening? All right, still the same issue. So, if ever that you have encountered or experienced that kind of problem, you cannot log in, then just make sure, teachers, that you will be able to secure a screenshot. Okay. Now, on your screenshot, teachers, make sure that there are three things visible. All right. Now, what are these three things? First is, of course, you have to show that your tutor client is not opening. All right. Now, the second thing is make sure that you were able to run a speed test and the result of your speed test is going to be visible on your screenshot. And the last one is make sure that your computer date and time is also going to be visible. All right. Now, why do we need to secure a screenshot? Now, teachers, our system here has its own way. Why? Because, for example, you were not able to clock in. Now, if ever that the system will detect that you have classes today and you were not able to clock in, regardless if it's your fault or if the tutor's client's fault, then automatically, teachers, your system here, your tutor client will generate a penalty. All right. So that is why we need to provide a proof or the screenshot so that your TM can help you waive these penalties. Clear? Okay, great. Now, we also have here our teaching points. And of course, we also have our enrollment. Now, teachers, here in Acadsoc, we actually have two types of classes, okay? Now, the first type of class is what we call our VIP classes or our VIP students, okay? Now, when we say VIP teachers, these are the students who are already enrolled in Acadsoc, all right? So they are already our regular students. Now, once you start your classes, you are also going to get our VIP students, okay? So they are going to be your students, all right? Now, since you're going to be handling VIP classes or VIP students,
Hi, Miss
there's a
Rox.
possibility
Driving lang po
that
kaya
some of these
I cannot
students
type
will
a
become
message.
your regular
Can I
as
send
long
you a
as
message
you do
later
well in
once
your
I got home?
classes.
Thank you, Miss
Now,
Rox.
the second type of class is what we call our trial classes or our trial students. Now, when we say trial classes or trial students, these are actually the students who are not yet enrolled in Acadsoc. So basically, they are just trying out the platform to see if they're going to like it. Now, if ever that a trial student attended a class and after the class that student enrolled, then whoever or the teacher who conducted their class will receive what we call the enrollment bonus, right? Now, teachers, for now, since you're still new, you're not going to get any trial classes yet, okay? And just a heads up, teachers, not all ACADSOC teachers are actually handling trial classes, okay? TMs and QAs will only choose those teachers who really have the potential to handle trial classes and they don't have any, issues whenever they're teaching. Okay, so that is why, teachers, I would advise that if ever you want to handle trial classes, always do your best in your class. Always, impress your student, impress your TM. Don't have any issue. Let's say don't be absent. Don't be absent a lot of times. Do not cancel more classes. So, as long as you don't have any attendance issue, you're doing pretty well in your classes and the TM and the QA will see that you actually have the potential, then there is a chance that they will also give you trial classes. Okay. Now, the common or the obvious difference between a trial class and a VIP class is for trial classes teachers, every time you conduct a class, they're going to be new students. Unlike a VIP classes, there is a possibility that a certain student will book your class every day. Okay. All right. So, any questions regarding our dashboard here? None?
Okay, so what about you, teachers? Questions when it comes to our dashboard? No questions? Okay. So if you don't have questions, teachers, then before we continue, I'm going to give you an update. Okay. So, teachers, if you are logged into your tutor client right now, you'll actually notice that this icon over here is not there anymore, right? You don't have this icon. Now, again, teachers, that icon there is actually our A classroom, temporary classroom, or the practice room for the A classroom. Now, why isn't it there anymore? Because teachers, as of this time, we are actually not using a classroom that much anymore. Okay, so we already have a new platform, which we call our 10-cent classroom. However, for today's training, I will still include the discussion about our A classroom because there are still few of our students who uses the A classroom platform. So, just in case that some of them will actually book your slots, then you will have an idea on how to navigate in the A classroom. But for now, the most popular platform that we have is Tencent or the new one. Okay. Great. So let's continue to this next video. So for this part here, teachers, you will be watching three videos continuously. So that's going to be the second, the third, and the fourth. Why? Because these three videos here, they're actually all connected to each other. Okay, so for our second video, this is going to be all about the second tab of our shooter client, which we call our class table. Now, when we say class table, teachers, this is where you open your classes, your slots, or your schedule. Now, this is also where you will see your students, the details of your students, the book that your student is using, and of course, the teaching platform or the classroom that you will be using as well. Now, since that it's going to be talking about the classrooms, then for the third and the fourth video, it will show you on how to use these classrooms. So basically, it's going to be like a tutorial on how to navigate each of our classrooms. Now, since that we will be watching three videos continuously, then we will talk again after the fourth video. However, just like what I've mentioned earlier, if you have questions or any clarifications, please just, let me know. Okay. So let's start.
All right. So what you're looking at right now is what we call our class table. And this is also the second tab on our tutor client. Now, teachers, when we say class table, this is where you will open your schedules, you will see your students, and you will join the classroom. All right. Now, let's start on this part here. Now, teachers, when it comes to the view of your class table, you can choose to look at it on a daily view, or if you want to look at it on a weekly view, then you may do so as well. Now, when you open your slots, all you need to do, teachers, is to click on class time setting. So once you're done with all of those tasks that your HR asks you to do, the personal data and the training courses, then your HR will activate this class time setting. Now, once this is already activated, then you may already open your own slots, okay? Now, when we open our slots teachers, all you need to do is to click class time setting, choose the date and time that you want to teach. For example, for you, you can work or you can teach during the evening. So choose the time that you want to open. And then once you're done choosing all of those slots, then you may already click on submit. After you click submit, then automatically, teachers, it will open on your class table, just like what you're looking at right now. All right. Now, teachers always remember that when we open our slots, you can open as early as 1 week before, or the latest gonna be 12 hours before. Okay. All right. So next is we also have this autonomous cancellation. Now, teachers, this is what we click if ever you want to cancel some of your unbooked slots. Okay. Now, when we say unbooked, these are actually slots that are open, but still no students. Okay. Now, if you want to cancel these slots, you may do so. Just click on autonomous cancellation, choose the slots that you want to cancel, and click on submit. Okay. Now, once you cancel an unbooked slot, no worries, there will be no penalties. Okay. The only time that you're going to receive a penalty for canceling classes would be if the slot is already booked by a student. Clear? All right. Now let's go to these slots here. All right. So let's start with the Monday slots. Now, if you notice, teachers, all of the slots on Monday, they're already grayed out, right? Now, once the slot is already grayed out, it means to say you're already done conducting these classes. You've completed all of these classes. Okay. All right, good. Now, for those slots that are still blue, it means to say these are your upcoming classes or your open slots. Okay. All right, great. Now let's move on to this unbooked slots. Now, teachers, once that on your slot, you can only see the start time and the end time of the class, it means to say this slot is still unbooked. Okay. Now, there's still a possibility that a student will book the slot. Okay. Now, once that you have an unbooked slot, just remember refresh your class table at least 3 minutes before the start time. So, for example, for our first slot here, 5 p.m. to 5:25. So, since there is still no student here, then at least around 4:57, refresh your class table because we also have what we call sudden bookings. So there is also a possibility that your student will book your slot 3 to 5 minutes before it starts. Okay. So that is why make sure that you will refresh your class table 3 minutes before the start time once the slot is still unbooked. Okay. All right, good. Now, if ever that a student already booked your slot, then this is how it's going to look like. So there you will see what type of class is that. Is it going to be a VIP class or a trial class? And then, of course, we also have the name of the student and the start time and the end time of the class. Now, on this part here, this is where you could know what teaching platform you will be using. So if you see a green circle with a little bird on it, then that's going to be class in. And if you see a big green circle with a big letter A inside, then that's going to be a classroom. Okay. All right. Now, on your class table, teachers, you will also see this lock icon. All right. Now, there are multiple reasons why we have this lock icon. Number one is canceled class. Now, why do we say canceled class? For example, you have a few unbooked slots, and then you decided to cancel these slots using the autonomous cancellation. Now, once you do that, teachers, the slot that you've chosen to cancel, they will not be removed from your class table, but instead a lock icon will appear. Okay. Now, once a slot already has a lock icon on it, then no student can book the slot anymore. Clear? Perfect. Now, another reason is if ever that, something happened and you really need to cancel some of your booked slots, then unfortunately you cannot do it by yourself. Okay. Once the slot is already booked by a student, then you need to cancel them. You need to either talk to your TM or contact the CS. Okay. Now, once you are able to contact one of them, then they will cancel the slot for you. They will transfer the student to a different teacher, and then again, they will put a lock icon on the slot that you ask to cancel. All right. And again, teachers, once the slot is already locked, no student can book the slot. Okay. Now, there is still another reason for locked classes, okay? Now, if ever that you see a lock icon on your class table, but you didn't cancel any classes or you didn't request to cancel any classes, it means to say, teachers, this is what we call a reserved slot. So, reserving of slots here in Acadsoc teachers, it's actually very popular. All right. So, for example, you have a student who really likes you and they are having a class with you every 8 o'clock in the evening. All right. Now, there is already a possibility there that once you open your schedule for the next week, all of your 8 o'clock slots will be locked because the student already asked to reserve that slot for them. Okay. All right, great. Now, another thing, teachers, once that your student is already inside your class table, regardless, teachers, if their class is still next week, as long as their names are already on your class table, then you may already double click the slot and then check their class details. Okay. Now, teachers, it's advisable to check their class details ahead of time because there you will also see the book that they're using, and you can review the book ahead of time so that at least you will be prepared when you start your class with them. Okay. All right. Now, once you double click the slot, then this is how their class details looks like. Okay. Now, teachers here on their class details, you will see the class ID. There's also their student ID, student Skype, student special request, student's learning intention, the class time, the tutoring tool or the classroom that you're going to use, the class remarks, and the problems in class. Now, just below the problems in class, if you scroll down your class details, there you will see the book that your student is using. Okay. All right. Now let's go back here in our tutoring tool. So if you remember earlier, I've mentioned that here in Acadsoc, we only use two teaching platforms, and those are ClassIn and a classroom. Okay. All right. Now, teachers, when it comes to a classroom, all you need to do, teachers, is to open the student's class details. And then on the tutoring tool, it will say a classroom. And there's going to be a button here that says open a classroom. All you need to do for you to be able to enter the student's classroom is to click that button, and then automatically you will be redirected to the A classroom of your student. Okay. All right. Now, teachers, remember that for our A classroom, it's already part of our tutor client. Or we can also say the other way around, the tutor client is already our A classroom. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to class and teachers, before we have the same process, like you just open the class details, click the button open class in. However, this time it's already different. Okay. So ClassIn is not connected to our tutor client anymore. So what you need to do is before you start your classes or while you clock in, make sure that you've already logged in to your ClassIn account. Okay. Now, don't worry, teachers. I'll send you the link for you to be able to download ClassIn ahead of time. Okay. Now, once you're already logged in to your class in, then all you need to do, teachers, is to go to the calendar and find your classes there. Okay, so check your class table, look at the time on what time do you have a class, and then just go to the class in application and enter the classroom from there. Okay. All right, good. Now, once you're already inside both classrooms, a classroom or even class in, all right, each platform still will still require you to do an equipment check. So all you need to do is to follow the instructions for the equipment check. Let's say it will ask you to check on your sound, check on your camera, check on your microphone. Once you're done with all of that, everything is working well, then Once you click on finish or enter, then you will be redirected to the main classroom. Clear? Okay, great. Now, also teachers, make sure that when you enter the students' classrooms, either class in or a classroom, you need to enter at least 2 minutes before. Why? Because teachers, again, you still need to do an equipment check for each platform. So give that a time. Okay? All right. Now, another thing, if ever you remember earlier, I've given you an example when, if ever that your tutor client is not working, all right? So once that our tutor client is not opening both application and the browser version, it doesn't mean teachers that you cannot conduct your classes, okay? You can still enter your student's classroom, a classroom or class in, but this time you just need to do it manually. Okay. For class in, same process, log into your class in account and then just go to calendar. There you will be able to see all of your class in classes and the time of these classes. Okay. Now, once that you have a class in a classroom, then I also sent you the A classroom backup link. So all you need to do is to log into this web link. Okay. Now, the logins that you're going to use for the A Classroom web link is going to be the same as what you're using on your tutor client. Okay. However, for class and teachers, it's either your TM will give you the logins for class in, or when you open the student's class details, the login's going to show here as well. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to a classroom web link. So for a classroom web link, once you're already logged into this one, then this is what it will give you. Okay, so there you can still check all of your classes in a classroom and then just check the time once that it's already 5 minutes before the start of the class. Then the enter classroom is going to be highlighted blue, then this time you can already join the classroom. Okay. All right. So same goes teachers for both class and an A classroom. Once you enter these platforms, you don't even have to upload the book because the book's going to be there as well. So all you need to do is to join these classrooms on time, and then you can already start teaching. Clear? Okay, great. Now, after that, teachers, once you're already done with your class, then don't forget to click on class over and leave your class remarks, okay? Now, when it comes to our class remarks, teachers, it doesn't really have to be long. Just make sure that it's going to be detailed, okay? Now, teachers, be mindful when it comes to our class remarks because if a class doesn't have a class remark, then that class is not going to be paid. Okay. All right. Now, there are times that we don't have much time left to leave class remarks. For example, you've extended your class, and when you left the classroom, you already need to enter your next class or your next classroom. So if that's the case, no worries because when it comes to our class remarks, you will have until 12 midnight to fill this one out, okay? So that is why teachers, once you're done with all of your classes, before you go to sleep, make sure to double check your class table and look for this red exclamation point, okay? Now, once you see that one of your slot has a red exclamation point, it means to say, teachers, you were able to finish the class, but you were not able to leave your class remarks. Okay. So you need to go back and input your class remarks. Clear? Okay, great. Now, after that, teachers, we also have another part here, which is problems in class or the CS assistance. Now, teachers, remember that the CS assistance button will only appear once the class starts. For example, your class starts at 5 p.m. So, of course, the CS assistance will only appear once it's already 5 p.m. Okay. All right, now what is CS Assistance? Now, teachers, this is what you will click if ever you encounter any problems in class. Okay. Now, when I say any, I mean any. Okay. So once you click that, then it will open a box. There, teachers, you only have to choose what issue you are currently encountering. Is it about the student? Is it about your classroom or your teaching tools? Is it about the book or the material? You have problems with your connection, or let's say the student has a problem with their connection, or you need to cancel the class. Okay. So choose your issue, and then we have a message box here. There you can type the exact issue that you're currently encountering. Now, once you're done typing your message, then you click on submit and then just wait for the CS to give you an update. Okay. All right. Now, same goes teachers. If you're already inside your classroom, but the student is not yet there. So, if you're already waiting for 5 minutes inside the classroom and student is not yet there, then you already need to click on CS Assistance and then click on Student Issue. Student isn't showing up, and then just add a message that you're already there for 5 minutes, but the student is not yet showing up. Okay. Now, once you click on submit, then the CS will do a follow up on the student. And as for you, teachers, you just stay inside the classroom and wait for the student. Okay. All right. Now, once that you're already waiting for 15 minutes from the start time of the class, let's say the class is at 5 and it's already 5:15, then another button will appear that says student absent. So if you're already waiting for the student for 15 minutes, you already have the option to mark the student as absent, and then you may leave the classroom. Okay. Yes. Now, remember, teachers, the process should be mark them as absent first and then leave the classroom. Okay. Do not leave the classroom first before marking them as absent, because the tutor client or your system will also mark you as left early. Clear? Okay. That's good. Now, just like what I said, if you just scroll down your class details, there you will see the book of your student. So if ever that you want to review the book ahead of time, then you just have to click this icon for you to be able to open the book as PDF. Okay. All right. Now, if ever that this icon is not working, then this is going to be your backup book. Okay. Now, this one here, if ever that when you're reviewing the book, you've noticed there's a lot of mistakes. Let's say there are some grammatical errors, there are some misspelled words, then you may also report the book so that the CS will have a look at it. Okay. All right. Now, teachers, once the book already has a check mark on it, then it means to say the student already used the book, or another teacher already finished discussing the book. Okay. Now, if the book is still highlighted yellow, then it means to say, teachers, this is the book that you're going to be using, and this is also the book that is inside your a classroom or classroom. Okay. All right. Now, teachers, do you have any questions regarding your um, regarding the books of the student, the class details, and of course, our class table? All right. So now we are going to start our second topic, which is our teaching platforms. Now, if you remember, we only have two, right? So we have a classroom and we also have ClassN. Now we are going to start with our a classroom. Now, if you remember earlier, I've already mentioned that when it comes to a classroom, it's already part of our tutor client, or we can also say tutor client is already our a classroom. All right. Now, if ever that you also want to practice on how to navigate a classroom yourself, then you may do so. All right. So we have this icon here. And again, this is only visible on our tutor client application. You will not be able to see this on your browser version. Okay. So again, this is our temporary classroom. So whatever you see inside, that is also how our A classroom looks like. Okay. So we will now know how this A classroom looks like. So let's access our temporary classroom. All right. So if you remember as well, when we were talking about these classrooms earlier, I've mentioned that you need to enter the classroom at least 2 minutes before because of this equipment check. Now, for a classroom, this is how your equipment check will go. So, all you need to do here is to click on Start Testing. All right. Now, first, it will ask you to check on your sound. So, if you're using any noise canceling application, just like Crisp, then you may choose it here. Then once you've already chosen, choose whatever sound you want to hear. Now, if you can hear the sound well, then you can already click on next. Now, this time it will ask you to check on your camera. So if ever that you're using any camera application, let's say Manicam, Snapcam, or Cybercam. So you can also choose it here and then make sure that you see yourself on this part, okay? Now, once that you already see yourself with the application that you're using, then before you click on next, make sure that you will be able to remove the check mark on our mirror mode. Okay. So once that's already removed, then you can already click on next. Now, this time, teachers, you might hear some unstable voice of mine. That's because the equipment is also checking my audio. So this time, we are going to check the microphone. So same process, teachers. If you're using any noise canceling application, you can choose it here. Then try speaking on your microphone. Then make sure that the bar over here goes up and down. Okay. Now, if it's working properly, then you click on next. And then you need to check on your system. Okay. Now, you just have to make sure that all of these here are going to be green. Okay. So if one is red, you need to go back and check. Okay. So since we already have a normal system here where everything is already green, then we click enter, and this is how our A classroom looks like. Okay, so let's wait since it is still connecting. All right, so teachers, this is how your A classroom looks like. However, we actually have two types of A classroom, but you don't have to worry because they're very similar to each other. Okay, the only difference would be the color, the placement of tools. Okay, so don't worry, I'll show it to you later as well. Okay. Now, this is our A classroom. So on this part here, this is where you can check your internet status. This is your class details, okay? Now, on this white area here, this is where your book is going to be. So once you enter your A classroom, automatically, teachers, you will be able to see the book on this part, okay? Now, this white area here, this also serves as our board, okay? So it means to say you can write on the board, you can even type on the board, okay? Now, when it comes to our students, you can also give them an authority to use the pen, all right? So you can authorize them to use the pen so you can make your class more interactive. For example, you can already let them circle their answers or write their answers, or let's say you're going to do a drawing activity, okay? Now, on this part here, this is where you will control the book, okay? So this is where you will turn the pages of your book over here. This is to full screen, to zoom in, zoom out, or if ever you want to show the book full screen, then just click this part, okay? Now, when it comes to our chat box, it's going to be over here, all right? So this is our chat box, and our chat box teachers already has its own translator, all right? So just in case that your student will send you something in Chinese, then You don't have to go to Google Translate just to know what they're saying. You just have to click this icon over here, and then automatically, teachers, whatever your students sent you, it will be translated to English. Okay. All right. Now, also in our chat box, if ever that you want to send pictures, if you want to show an example to your student, then you can do so as well. So just click this image icon and then choose whatever picture you want to send. So let's try one. Okay, so there. So once that you've already chosen the picture, then automatically, teachers, it will be sent to the student. Okay. All right, now on this part here, this is where your camera is going to be. Now, if you hover your mouse pointer to your camera, then there you can control your microphone, mute or unmute. And this is also where you control your camera. You can turn it off or you can turn it on as well. Okay. And then once the student is already inside your classroom, then the student's camera is going to be below your camera. All right. So no worries, the classroom will adjust itself. Okay. Now, when it comes to the student's camera, if you hover your mouse pointer to their camera, there you can see their microphone status. This is what you click, teachers. Remember, okay? This is what you click to authorize them to use the pen, okay? Now, same button, this is also what you will click if you will unauthorize them, okay? Now, this one, teachers, we don't use this because this will actually kick the student out of the classroom. So that's a no-no, okay? And then this is where you can see the camera status of your student. And of course, we also have here the trophy button. So yes, teachers, you can give trophies to your students, give them as many trophies as you want. However, teachers, just remember that we don't just rely on our trophy button. We have to make sure that we are also creative when it comes to our reward system. Okay. Because I think we all know that once we receive the same rewards over and over again, that's kind of boring, right? Okay. Now, teachers, we also have a timer here. Okay, so this timer here will only start once it's already the class time. All right, so for example, if your class is 5 o'clock, then the timer here will start running at exactly 5 o'clock. It doesn't matter, teachers, if you're already inside the classroom or not. Okay. All right. Now for this part here, this is our control area. Now there are a lot of things here that we don't use often. So for example, this SOS, we don't use that. The reload button, yes, we can. However, teachers, once that you will click on reload, then you will automatically be redirected to the start testing page again. Okay. And then this one, the student list. So we don't use this one as well because again, this is intended for multiple students. Now we are only handling one student at a time. Okay. Now, for this folder icon here, or this is what we call files, yes, we use this one often, okay? So this is what you will click, teachers, if ever that you want to upload something in our A classroom. For example, you want to upload a book, you want to upload a PowerPoint, or perhaps you want to upload a picture or PDF, okay? Now let's try uploading some, all right? So you click the icon, and then click on add. Choose whatever file you want to send. So for example, let's send this one. Okay. Now, once that you've already chosen the file, then you click on upload. Once that it's done uploading automatically, teachers, it will open on the board. Okay. All right, now let's try opening a new one, okay, or uploading a new one, all right? So let's click the icon, click on add, and then choose the file that you want to upload. Now, once that you've chosen the file, click on upload, and then again, teachers, whatever new thing that you're going to upload, it will automatically be on your board, okay? So let's wait for it. My internet is kind of slow today. Now there. So see, it's already loading. Now, since that you already have a new picture or a new GIF on your board, then if ever that you want to go back to the book that you're using, then you just have to click the same icon, the file. And then there you will see all the things that you've uploaded, including the book that you're using. So if ever that you want to go back to the other picture, then click that. If ever that you want to use a whiteboard, then click whiteboard. Okay. So once the file is already inside your a classroom, then you can just juggle whichever you want to show your student. Okay. All right. Now, teachers, you can also use when it comes to giving rewards to your students in a classroom. You can also use GIFs, just like the one that I showed you earlier. This one, this is a GIF, so this is also compatible with a classroom. Okay, so this is funny to look at, right? Yes. So let's move on. Now, we also have here the toolbox. Now, we don't use the toolbox often. The only time that you're going to use the toolbox is if ever that you need to use like a timer in your class, you need to do desktop sharing, you want to use a small whiteboard, then there you will be able to find it on our toolbox, okay? And then we also have the global control. Then we don't use this one as well because again, this is intended for multiple students, okay? And then we also have the layout. Now the layout will only change the position of your of the cameras. However, again, this is usually intended for multiple students since there will be a lot of cameras inside the classroom. So it's going to be up to you on how you're going to reposition them. Okay. And then we also have the settings. So for the settings, this is just another equipment check. So if you want to double check your equipment, again, if you want to double check your equipment, then you can do it inside the A classroom already. Okay. Now, if you want to use a virtual background, then we also have it here. Okay. Now, once you are done with your class, then you only have to click the leave this button. You confirm, and then automatically, teachers, you will be redirected back to your tutor client. Okay. All right. But before we do that, let's discuss the other type of a classroom. Now, the other type looks like this. Okay. So they're very similar, right? It's just that this is color blue. Yes. Now, we don't have a lot of things up here, but most of the things that was up here, or most of the things that is under control area, is already found here in our toolbar. All right. So if ever that you want to upload something inside as this type of a classroom, then you just have to click on this cloud icon over here. Let's circle, right? So this is what you will click if ever you want to upload something. And then, of course, we also have here the toolbox, just in case you want to use a timer, desktop sharing, or a whiteboard. Okay. Yes, and of course, this is your chat box, this is your camera, and this is going to be your student's camera. And the same thing, teachers, once you enter your A classroom, either this violet one or this blue one, automatically you will be able to see the book on the board, okay? However, there were times where we also encounter issues. Okay, so for example, when you entered your classroom and then you didn't see the book automatically, either the blue one or the violet one. Okay, then before you upload a new one, try checking it on the files. Okay, maybe the book is inside, or check it on the cloud drive. Okay. Now, if you still cannot see the book there, then at this time you need to upload it manually. So you go back to your tutor client and then you download the book. Once that you've downloaded the book, then this time you upload the book manually. Same process, click files, click on add, and then upload. Okay. All right. Now, again, teachers, once you're done, then you click on leave this, just confirm, and then automatically, teachers, you will be redirected back to your tutor client. Okay. Now, do you have any questions when it comes to our A classroom? None. Okay. Now let's continue with our class in. Okay. Now, teachers, when it comes to class in, just like what I have mentioned earlier, class in is going to be a third party classroom. However, it is somehow connected to our tutor client as well. Okay. Now, once that you log in to your class in, then this is what you will see next. Okay. So For you to be able to find your classes, then just click on calendar, and there you will find all of your classes in Classin. Okay. All right. Now, if you also want to practice on how to navigate Classin, once that you already have your logins, once you already have your logins, then use that to practice. Okay. So log into your Classin, and then once you already see this page, you can click on Blackboard. Okay. So this Blackboard here, this is also how our Classin classroom looks like. Okay. Now, once that you will click on this, once that you will click on this Blackboard, then this is what it will give you. Okay. Now, the entire platform is black, which is cool, right? Now, once that you enter, in a real class and classroom teacher, since today we are only using the Blackboard, in a real class and classroom, before you can use anything inside of the classroom or before you can click on anything, there is going to be a box, all right? A box that will require you to do an equipment check. So, still the same, just like a classroom, you need to check on your sound, your camera, your microphone, your system. Once you're done doing all of those equipment checking, then you click on finish, and then that's the time you can already use whatever is inside our a classroom. Clear? All right. Now, once that you're already inside your A classroom, this is where your camera is going to be. All right. Now, if ever that you will hover your mouse pointer to your camera, that is where you can control your microphone. Okay. Now, once the student is also inside your classroom, then their camera is going to be beside your camera. Okay. Now, if you think that your camera is quite small, both of you are your camera and the student's camera, then no problem. You just go to the corner, long press, drag out. Okay. Once that you're already happy with how your camera looks like, then you can also reposition your camera. So you can put it on this side here or anywhere you want. Okay. All right. Now over here, teachers, this is where you can control your microphone as well, your camera, and then this is for you to record your class. So you can record your class for you to have a copy as well. But again, tutor client will be able to get the copy of your tutor client. Okay. Sorry. The tutor client will be able to get the copy of your recording in Classin. But again, if you want to have your own copy, then click this to record your class. This is our settings. So settings features, just like a classroom, is another equipment check. Okay. So this is for you to minimize and this is for you to close. Now, once that you are already done with your class, 25 minutes is over, then you just close your classroom. Okay. All right. Now for this entire black area here, no matter which part, okay, over here, or you can even scroll that down. This part here is our blackboard. Okay. So since we have a blackboard, then it means to say we also have a toolbar. So you can write on the board, you can type on the board. Now, when it comes to students' access, you don't have to authorize them anymore because automatically teachers, your student will be able to use the pen inside your classroom. Okay. So the tools inside our blue box here, this is your Blackboard tools. Okay. Now the tool inside of the cloud drive or the icon inside of the red box is what we call our cloud drive. Now, the icon inside the yellow box is our toolbox, and the icon inside the green box is our chat box. Okay. All right. Now, let's discuss our cloud drive because this is the most useful of all. Okay. Now, once you enter your class and teachers, it's not like a classroom that you will automatically see the book, but instead, when you enter your class in, you cannot see the book immediately. So what you need to do is to click on Cloud Drive and then go to My Resources, or sometimes it says Authorized Resources. Okay, so you just click that, and there you will be able to see the book that you're going to use. Now, same thing, teachers, if ever that you clicked the My Resources or Authorized Resources and you were not able to see the book, then same process, upload the book manually. So for you to be able to upload, still the same, click Cloud Drive and click Upload. Okay. All right. Now, once that you've already opened the book, then this is how the book will look like inside our classroom. So if you think that the book is quite small, same process, teachers. Go to the corner, long press and drag. So you can make the book as big as you want, or you can make it smaller. All right. Now, if ever that you want to show your student other things, for example, you want to show them a picture, then just go to Cloud Drive, upload a picture, and usually once that the picture is already on your board, it's gonna go the behind the lesson. So for you to be able to show the student the picture, then you can just either drag the picture to somewhere that is clear, or you can also minimize. So click minimize, and then the book will go on this circle. All right. Now, if you want to show the student the book again, then click the circle, and there you will be able to open the book. Okay. Now, also teachers in our classroom, we have a timer. So our timer is going to be on this part. Now, same thing as our A classroom. The timer will only start running once it's already time of the class. So, for example, if your class is 5 o'clock, then again, the timer here will start running at exactly 5 o'clock. Okay. Now, same goes with a classroom teachers. The timer will not stop at 25 minutes. It will be continuous. Okay, so you always have to be mindful with the timer. Okay, do not leave your classrooms in less than 25 minutes, or else you will be tagged as left early, and that's going to be a penalty. We all know that, right? Now, you can leave the classroom over 25 minutes, but of course, the maximum extension that you can give is going to be 3 minutes, or else you will be late for your next class. Okay. So, again, teachers, for these timers, both in class and in a classroom, this is what our tutor client is following. So, you really have to be mindful with our timer. Okay. All right. Now, once you're done with your class, it's already 25 minutes or more, then just close your classroom and then go back to your tutor client. Okay. All right. So, do you have any questions regarding a classroom and a class in? All clear? All right. Great. So now, teachers, this is our Tencent classroom. Now, this is the new classroom or platform that we are using. All right. So a lot of our students are actually using Tencent Classroom. Now, when we talk about Tencent, the classroom itself is actually very similar with a classroom and Classin. So it's like a little of both. All right. Now, how will you actually know if ever that your student is using the Tencent classroom? Now, teachers, as much as possible, try to be familiar with the icons of each platforms. All right. Now, once that on your class table, you see that there is a cute orange lion beside your student's name, then it means to say your student is going to use the Tencent classroom. Okay. So again, you will be joining your student's Tencent classroom. The icon for Tencent is the lion icon. Now, again, once you see that there is a green circle with a little bird inside, then that's going to be class in. And if you see a darker green circle with a big letter A inside, then that is a classroom. All right. Now, how will you be able to join your student's Tencent classroom? So the process is basically the same as the other two, a classroom and classroom. You still need to open your student's class details. So you double click the slot, and after that, you will see your student's class details. Now, once you're here, you will still see a button that says Open Tencent Classroom. However, here comes the difference. If you remember, when it comes to a classroom or classin, if you click on Open Classin or Open a Classroom, automatically you'll be redirected to your student's classroom, right? Now, when it comes to our Tencent, if you click the open Tencent classroom, you will not be redirected inside your student's classroom, but instead you'll be redirected to a new page, all right? And that new page, teachers, is going to be our Qualify page, all right? Now, again, let me repeat. After you click the open Tencent classroom, this is where you will be redirected to the Qualify page. Now, once that you're already in your Qualify page, then you just have to go to the fourth tab that says Leave a Classroom. That's a drop down. So you click that teachers and then you go to class schedule. Now, once you click that, all of your Tencent classes for that day will be shown here. Now, let me repeat, only Tencent classes. Your A classroom classes, your classing classes are not included. Now, also, teachers, once you're in your class schedule for the class that is about to start, it will be marked red. So let's say, for example, you're going to have a 10-cent class or you're going to have a class in 10 cent at 5 p.m. So around 4:55, that class here in your Qualify page is already marked red. Now, it means to say the class is about to start, the classroom is open, and you may go inside. Now, for you to get inside your Tencent classroom, you scroll to the side. There's going to be a button that says Enter Class. So you just have to click that, and that's the time that you'll be redirected to the first page of your Tencent classroom. Now, once you're on the first page, same as the other two platforms, you still need to do the equipment check. So you check on your camera, you check the microphone, and you check your speaker. Now, if everything is working fine, then you click Enter Class, and that's the time that you will be redirected to the main classroom. Now, this is how your main classroom looks like. Now, once you're here, you will also receive a prompt that's going to say start class or leave class. Now, for this prompt, teachers, it doesn't matter if your student is already inside your classroom or not. You just click start class for you to be able to use whatever tools you have inside. Clear? All right. Now, also, this is where your camera is going to be. And once that your student joins your classroom, then their camera is going to be beside your camera. And then, of course, we do have the chat box here, and this is where your whiteboard is. Now, once that you join the classroom, then it will be, or this whiteboard will be replaced by the book that you will be using. Now, don't worry, because if you need a whiteboard or if you need a blank space, you just go to this area here, third icon. This will give you the whiteboard. You just click that, and then if you want to go back to the book, same button, you click that. Then, of course, we do have a toolbox. So it means to say you can write on the board, you can type on the board. Now, same goes as the other two platforms for you to be able to authorize and unauthorize the student to use the pen. You just have to hover your mouse pointer to their camera. There you'll see a pen icon. That is where you can control their access to the pen. All right. Now, for the upper part of our classroom, you can see there your internet status. And then, of course, you have the option to share your screen. So if you want to share your screen or if you need to share screen, then this is what you click. For this attendees icon, you don't really have to use this because this is actually intended for multiple students. And as we all know, we are only handling one student at a time. So we don't really have to use this. And then, of course, the third icon is our courseware icon. Now, teachers, this is what you click if ever you need to upload something. So, for example, you want to upload some pictures, you want to upload PDF, PowerPoints, short videos, then this is where you'll do it. Okay. Message icon is just another copy of our chat box. The more icon here is just our settings. So if ever that you need to check on your equipment while inside the classroom, then just click more. There it will allow you to check your camera, your speaker, and your microphone. And lastly, we have here the End Class button. However, teachers, you need to be careful when clicking the End Class button. Why? Because once you have clicked the End Class button, you cannot go back inside your classroom anymore, right? So just make sure that you will only click to end class once that you're already done with your class, you've completed the 25 minutes. Or let's say your student is a no-show and your student is a no-show or absent, then you were able to mark them as absent on the system before clicking the end class button. All right. Okay, so teachers, I'm going to give you a copy of this PDF just in case that you want to review afterwards. And later on, no worries, I will also give you a link and you can actually use that link to practice and navigating our Tencent classroom.
Okay, so teachers, do you have any questions when it comes to our class table and the classrooms? No, all good? All right. So, teachers, if you don't have questions, then just a reminder. Okay. So, you actually have learned about three classrooms, right? So, we have a classroom, we have class in, and we also have the new one, which is the Tencent classroom. Now, teachers, amongst these three classrooms here, the only classroom that you need to download is going to be class in. Okay. Because again, ClassIn is a third party application, so you need to download it. Okay, now when it comes to your ClassIn logins, once you've already downloaded your ClassIn, you don't have to create an account. Okay, because again, once you open your schedule, your TMs will just give you your ClassIn logins, or uh, if they weren't able to give it to you, you may ask them. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to a classroom in Tencent, there are no applications for these two. So both of these platforms are already part of our tutor client. So whenever that you have a student who uses either a classroom or Tencent, you just have to open your student's class detail. Okay. All right, so let's continue to the next video. So for the fifth one here, this is going to be all about the rest of our tutor client. So that's going to be from the third tab up to the last tab. Now, also in this video, you'll actually hear the discussion about the salary tab, including the penalties that you might possibly receive once that you have some absences or cancellations, or you have received valid complaints. Now, also in this video, it will tell you that the amount of penalties will be sent in the chat box. However, I've already included the percentage of each of your penalties in the pre-job training notes. So please just, follow that. Okay. All right. So let's.
All right, so since we are already done discussing our class table, then we will move on to our third tab, which is our training center. Now, I believe all of you already know what is inside our training center, correct? Yes, so teachers, a training center, this is where you can find the courses that your HR asks you to finish. So you just have to go to self-study courses, and there you will find all of them, all right? Now, once you are done completing all the courses that they ask you to finish, then just go back to training overview and then take a screenshot of this too, and then send it to your HR, okay? All right. Now, by the way, teachers, even if you're already done doing the courses that your HR asked you, just take note that even if you're already teaching, even if you already have students, try to do some other courses here, okay? Because teachers, these courses will actually help you be more exposed to our students. So the more courses you finish, the more students you will have, okay? All right. Now let's move on to our fourth tab, which is our service fee tab. Now, if you check your tutor client, it's either the browser or the application, you don't have this tab yet. Okay. Now, don't worry because once you open your classes, your TM will also update your service fee tab. Okay. Now, on this service fee tab, you can see your base service fee. So there's your hourly rate, valid working hours, completed classes, and of course, your additional bonus. Now, of course, we also have here the bonuses, but unfortunately for now, teachers, this completion bonus and the perfect attendance bonus is not yet being reoffered, okay? But no worries, because as far as I know, they're going to reoffer it very soon. We will just have to wait for their announcements, okay? All right. And now, of course, we also have here the enrollment bonus. So once that you're already handling trial classes, then you will be eligible to receive your enrollment bonus. And then, of course, we have the referral bonus. So just in case that Acadsoc will have a referral program and you were able to refer someone, then that is where you will be able to see your referral bonus. Now, by the way, teachers, when it comes to our service fee tab, this updates every day and it also refreshes every end of the month. So, for example, let's say you have classes tonight and you're able to complete all of those classes. So, you can already expect that the next day or tomorrow, there's already a change on your service fee tab. Okay. All right, now let's continue with our cat payment, or this is going to be your penalties, okay? The possible penalties that you will receive. Now, if ever that you are late for shift clock in over here, if you are not able to clock in on time, then you will be penalized. Same goes teachers if you are not able to enter your classroom on time, or let's say you left the classroom early. Now, when we say you left the classroom early, it's not yet 25 minutes, but you already left your classroom. Okay. Now, for the amount of penalties, I'll be sending it through the chat box. So please check our chat box as well. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to complaints, you will only receive a penalty once the complaint is already tagged as valid. Okay. Yes. However, once the complaint is invalid, then you don't have to worry. There will be no penalties for you. Okay. Now, when it comes to absences and cancellations, teachers, once that you cancel an unbooked slots using the autonomous cancellation, then there will be no penalties. Okay. As long as it is unbooked or as long as there is still no student on the slot, then no penalties for that. However, teachers, the only time that you will receive a penalty is if ever that you canceled some of your booked slots, okay? Now, when we say booked slots, these are slots that already has a student, okay? All right. Now, again, teachers, for the amount of cancellation, please check the chat box. Now, there are times that your TM will also be able to help you waive some of these penalties, especially when it comes to absences and cancellations. Okay. Now, this will now depend on what is your reason for being absent or for canceling your classes. So, for example, you've canceled your classes, or let's say you were absent because of a medical emergency, life and death situation, or let's say natural disaster. Now, as long as you will be able to provide a proof, then your TM will help you waive those penalties. Okay. Yes. However, teachers, if your reason is loss of internet connection or let's say power interruption, unfortunately, your TM cannot help you with these penalties because it's part of our job to provide backups. Okay. However, if the loss of internet connection or let's say the power interruption happens suddenly, like this is sudden internet problem or sudden power interruption, then your TM will help you with these penalties as long as you will provide a proof and also you will be able to continue with your other classes. Okay, because that is something that we cannot control. All right. Okay. Now, of course, you will also see the summary of your salary here. Tax and fee teachers, we do not pay tax because we are not employees, we are independent contractors. However, under tax and fee, there you will see the total amount of penalties that you have received. Now, of course, we also have here the total service fee. So that's going to be the total amount of salary that you will receive for the certain cutoff. Okay. Now, as we all know, teachers, the payment method that we use right now is PayPal, and the releasing of salary is every first to third of the month. Now, usually they send it on the first, as long as the first falls on a weekday. Okay. All right, now let's move on to the fifth tab, which is our student comment tab. Now, teachers, this is the tab where you can see the comments or the ratings that your student left you. Okay. Now, for example, you already received some ratings or some stars from your student. Then this is how this page is going to look like. So you will also know which student gave you that rating or the stars, because there you will be able to see their class ID, how many stars did they give you, the date and time of your class with them. Okay. And of course, sometimes also like to leave comments. Okay. So if ever that there is a comment on their stars, then you can read all of those because most of the time they are motivating. Okay. All right. Now, we also have here the student comment dynamic. So their teachers, you will see the total stars that you've already received. And once you move your mouse pointer to the circle, there you will see how many 5 stars you already have, how many 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, and 1 star. Okay. All right, now let's move on to our sixth tab, which is our complaint tab. Now, teachers, just in case that your student filed a complaint against you, then this is where you will see that complaint. Now, you will also know who is the student who filed the complaint, because there again, you will see their class ID. When did they file the complaint? The date and time of your class with them, and what type of complaint is that? And of course, you will also see there the result of your TM's review. So is it going to be a valid complaint or is it going to be invalid? Okay. Now, also teachers on this tab, we can see our late and leave early. So teachers, our tutor client here can automatically detect if ever you entered your classroom late or you left your classroom early. Okay. Now, there are times that your student is the one requesting to leave the classroom early. So, for example, your student said, teacher, let's stop for now because I need to go or I need to go somewhere else. Okay, so now if your student requested to leave your classroom early, then that's fine. You're going to let them go. All right. But for you teachers, as much as possible, just stay inside the classroom and wait until your 25 minutes is over. Okay. Now, since you're just waiting for the time to finish, then you can already turn off your camera and mute your microphone. Okay. Now, once 25 minutes is done, then you can leave the classroom, click class over, and then leave your class remarks. Now, just make sure that on your class remarks, you will also include the request of the student, which is to leave the class early. Clear? All right, now let's move on to our last tab. Now, this tab, teachers, is our feedback tab. So, this tab over here and this red thumbs up here, they are the same. Okay, the functions are the same. Now, teachers, this is where you will go just in case you're the one who wants to file a complaint. Okay. So let's click on feedback, and there you just have to choose what type of complaint you have. So, for example, you want to complain about your salary. Let's say um, it's missing some numbers. Those kind of problem. And then let's say you want to complain the penalties that you received. You want to complain the system, Acadsoc teachers, students, manager, customer service, so on and so forth. Then this is where you will do it. So, for example, we want to complain an Acadsoc teacher because we are angry at them. No, just kidding. So let's use this one, and then there you will just type whatever complaints you have, and then upload whatever evidence you have. Okay. Now, once that you've already clicked on submit, then you just have to wait for the CS to give you an update. Now, for the CS to give you an update, they will contact you through this green button here, which we call our IM. Okay. Now, once you click that teachers, it will open on a new tab, and this is how our IM looks like. Now, for our CS teachers, they will message you here. They will contact you through our IM. Now, there are times that your TM will also contact you through IM. Okay. All right. Now, of course, for you teachers, you can also use your IM to send your TM a message. So if ever that your TM reached out to you on Skype, then you can message them on Skype and you can also send your message in your IM at the same time so that you're going to be 100% sure that your TM will be able to see your message. So for you to be able to find your TM here, all you need to do is to go to the search bar and type your TM's name. Now, once you've already typed your name, press enter. And if ever that it will give you a multiple result, then choose the one that says TM. Okay. Now, once you click that teachers, there you can already send your TM a message. Now, you will know if your TM is online or not because of this green circle here. So once it's green, we know that it is online. And once that it's like invisible or just gray, then they are offline. Clear? All right. So that's for our tutor client. Do you have any questions or any clarifications?
Okay, so the choice questions for this part. All good, clear? Okay. Now, if you don't have questions, then another reminder. Okay, so teachers, once that you're already ready to open your schedule or your slots, make sure that your PayPal accounts are going to be up and ready as well. Okay, because it's either that your TMs will just, give you instructions on how you update your salary tab, or they will also just ask for your PayPal information and they will update it for you. Okay. All right. So let's continue to our last video. So we are now down to the last one. Now, for the last video here, this is going to be all about the class handling checklist. So basically, in this video, you will get some tips, some ideas on how you can start with your classes, how you do the introduction, the lesson proper, and the wrap up or the closing. That is also according to our QA standards. Okay, now again, teachers, these are actually just tips, ideas. You can always have your own style when it comes to teaching. Just make sure that it still abides the QA standards. Okay, so let's start.
All right, so now teachers, we are down to our last topic, which is our class handling checklist. Now, if you remember, in one class, we only do it for 25 minutes. So basically, teachers, in 1 hour, you will only have two classes with 5 minutes break in between. Now, it's going to be up to you, teachers, on what you're going to do with your 5 minutes. Either you use it to leave your class remarks, or you can also use it to eat your full dinner. Why not, right? Yes. Now, once that you are handling a new student, those students you've met for the first time, then our estimated time management is going to be for the introduction, it should be 5 minutes or less. Okay. Now, for the lesson proper, 15 minutes or more. And for the wrap up, 5 minutes or more or less. Okay. Now, teachers, it's not really necessary for you to follow this estimated time management. Okay. Yes, of course, you can always manage your own time. However, teachers, when it comes to our introduction, just make sure that you're not going to go beyond 5 minutes, okay? The shorter your introduction, the better, okay? Because once is that your QA or the QA will evaluate your classes and they will see that your introduction is very long, like more than five, then that's going to be a markdown for you. Okay. All right. Now, let's discuss our introduction. Now, remember, teachers, in one class you will only have three parts. So this is what we call the class flow. So again, intro, lesson, and the wrap up or the closing. Now, for the introduction, teachers, it would be better that you will also use what we call an introduction PowerPoint. Okay. Now, teachers, no worries because this introduction PowerPoint is not necessary. Okay. It's still going to be up to you if you want to use one or not. Okay. But for my suggestion, it's better that you will use an intro PowerPoint because it will definitely help you make your introduction organized, and also it will help you catch your students' attention. Since it's going to be on a PowerPoint format, then you can make it as colorful as you want. You can add colors, you can add, sorry, characters. So you can create one for boys and create one for girls for them to be curious on what you're showing them. Okay. But then again, it's not necessary. Okay. Now I'm going to send you a sample in our chat box, a sample of an introduction PowerPoint. Okay. However, the one that I'm going to be sending you is on a PDF format because unfortunately, teachers, I still don't have the Microsoft Office. So yeah, just, bear with me. Now, if ever that you want to use the one that I sent you, of course you can do so. Just convert it to PowerPoint and change the name. But if you want to create your own, then this sample will give you an idea on what to write or to put. Okay. All right, now let's start with the introduction. Here are the things that you need to do. So, first is, of course, you start your class with a warm greeting. So, this is where you say hi, hello, good morning, good evening. Okay. Now, always start your class enthusiastically. Okay. Always let your student feel that you're actually very excited to see them. Even in reality, you're not. Just, pretend. Okay. Now, most of the time, especially if your students or young learners, their parents are going to be there as well. So once you see their parents, make sure that you will be able to greet them as well. So, just say, hi, mommy, hi, daddy, how are you today? Okay. All right. Now, once that you're done with the greetings, then before you proceed to anything else, make sure to do a system check as well. Okay. So this time you only ask them two simple questions. Can you hear me? And can you see me? All right. Now, teachers, even if we already did our equipment check, however, for the student, there might be some problems with their, equipment as well. So we need to double check everything before we start our class. Okay. Now, after the system check, then that's the time you start to get to know each other. Okay, so first is you will introduce yourself. So, if possible, teachers share a little something about yourself. For example, you tell them your name and you also tell your students something that you like. So, let's say I am the teacher, so I can introduce myself like this. Hi, good morning. My name is Teacher Rocks, and I like to eat ice cream. Okay. So there I was able to say my name and I was able to share one thing I like. Okay. But make sure, teachers, that whenever you share something about yourself, you have to share something that is according to your student's level. Okay. So if your student is already an adult, then of course you're not going to tell them that you like ice cream, right? Of course, you're going to share something else. Okay. Now, once you're done introducing yourself, then this time you already ask your student's name. And of course, you can ask your student's age as well. Now, if your student is already an adult, you don't have to ask for their age because I think that's kind of awkward, right? Yeah, so just their names and perhaps their hobbies. Now, once that your student is a young learner, always make sure that you will introduce yourself as teacher. Okay. Now, if your student is already an adult, then a first name basis will do. Okay. All right. So once you're done getting to know each other, then you are going to build rapport. Okay. Now, building rapport, teachers, this will actually make you feel connected with your student. This is where you will interact with your students. Okay. Now, you don't have to ask a lot of questions. 1 to 2 questions will do. And make sure that whatever their answers will be, you are going to try to relate yourself to that answer. Okay. Because teachers, once the student will feel that you actually have something in common, then it's going to be easier for them to be comfortable with you. Okay. All right. Now, if your students are kids, you can also play a video that is less than 1 minute. Okay. So these videos usually are mostly nursery rhymes. Okay. Now, if you play a video, just to make sure that you're not just gonna let them watch the video. Okay, you need to encourage them to sing and dance with you. And of course, if there are some dance steps on the video, then you teach them how to do those dance steps. Okay. Yeah, it will serve like an icebreaker for you and the student. Okay. All right. Now, once you're done with your, basic introduction, then before you start the lesson, you will confirm if you actually have the correct material. So you have two ways to do that. First is you either read the lesson number and the title of the book, or you can also ask the student directly if this is the right book. Okay. All right. Now, once you're done with the introduction, then you move on to the lesson proper. Now, I'll be giving you some tips on how to make your lesson proper effective. Okay. First is, of course, maximize the use of your teaching tools. Okay. Now, when we say teaching tools, teachers, you need to have your props. Okay. Now, you can have, stuffed toys, realias, whiteboards, flashcards, those kind of rewards, uh, those kind of props, and make sure that you'll also be creative when it comes to your reward system. Okay. So our rewards are not just limited to trophies or stars, but you can also be as creative as you want. Okay. Now, aside from these handheld rewards, you can also, aside from these handhelds props, of course, you can also use our digital props. So you have your tools in your classrooms, Classroom and a classroom. And then, of course, we have camera applications. You have your old Uncle Google. So don't forget your Google. All right. And if ever that you need to, you need help from a dictionary, then a Merriam-Webster is the one you need. Okay. All right. Now, make sure as well, teachers, that you will not just rely on whatever information your book has to offer. Okay. Because most of the time, teachers or most of our students, before they attend the class, they already reviewed the lesson as well. Okay. So you might just wonder, why does the student already know the lesson, or he or she's already familiar with the topic, or perhaps she already know the answers to whatever questions you have in the book. Okay. So there's already a possibility that your student already reviewed the book ahead of time. Okay. Now that is why, teachers, it is very important for us to extend knowledge. Okay. Now, you can extend on vocabularies. You can also teach them different sentence patterns. Or if you're going to ask a question, then ask something that is related to the lesson but not found on your book. Okay. All right. Now, aside from knowledge extension, make sure as well, teachers, that you will always provide real-time corrections. Okay. Now, always listen to how your students say their words, listen to how they construct their sentences, or listen to how they answer your questions. Okay. Now, if you hear that they made a mistake, then make sure to provide whatever corrections, whatever mistakes that they have, make sure to always provide real-time corrections. Okay. Yes. Now, whatever corrections that you will give them, whatever knowledge that you will be extending, make sure that you always type them as well. So you either type them on your chat box or on the board. Okay. Now, aside from these corrections or the knowledge that you've extended, make sure as well that you will type the keywords of the important parts of the lesson so that they will not forget. Okay. Like for example, you already know the target lesson of that book, then type it. Okay. Because most of our students here, teachers, once is that this knowledge is new to them, they're going to take note of that so that at least after class, they can still review. Okay. All right. Now, Once is that you're already doing the lesson proper, don't forget teachers to check your students' comprehension from time to time. Okay. Now, once is that you will check your students' comprehension, as much as possible, don't just ask them, did you understand? Especially teachers, if you are teaching a young learner. Okay. Because we know these kids, sometimes teachers, even if they really didn't understand the lesson,
Happening? Does someone have a question? Hello?
I think,
Yes.
ma'am, the sound is removed.
Sure. So you weren't able to hear it from the start? Why?
Um,
Or just some
from
parts
the port before this wrap up.
from the lesson proper? Oh, wait. Why? What happened? Introduction was okay, right? You heard it.
Yes.
What happened? Let me
You were
change.
muted, ma'am.
No, I can actually mute even the. Let me stop sharing and I'll try again. Okay. Okay. Please confirm if there's already a sound.
those teachers, you need
Can
to
you hear it
have your
now?
props, okay?
Yes,
Now you
Yes,
yes.
can
yes,
have
Yes.
It's done.
yes,
Done.
yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's go back to the lesson. Let's start again with the lesson proper part.
No,
No,
actually that is
actually that
done,
is
ma'am.
done, ma'am.
That's done.
Yes,
Which
ma'am.
part did you stop or you started not hearing it? How about this part?
It's
It's
done.
done.
Done. And this part
Yeah,
done.
I think this
Yeah.
part.
This part.
Okay. So you started not hearing it on this part, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's.
how they answer.
Hi.
All
Sorry.
right.
Sorry.
already know the answer. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, make sure as well, teachers, that you will not just rely on whatever information your book has to offer. Okay. Because most of the time, teachers or most of our students, before they attend the class, they already reviewed the lesson as well. Okay. So you might just wonder, why does the student already know the lesson, or he or she's already familiar with the topic, or perhaps she already know the answers to whatever questions you have in the book. Okay, so there's already a possibility that your student already reviewed the book ahead of time. Okay, now that is why, teachers, it is very important for us to extend knowledge. Okay, now you can extend on vocabularies. You can also teach them different sentence patterns. Or if you're gonna ask a question, then ask something that is related to the lesson but not found on your book. Okay. All right. Now, aside from knowledge extension, make sure as well, teachers, that you will always provide real time corrections. Okay. Now, always listen to how your students say their words, listen to how they construct their sentences, or listen to how they answer your questions. Okay. Now, if you hear that they made a mistake, then make sure to provide whatever corrections, whatever mistakes that they have, make sure to always provide real-time corrections. Okay. Yes. Now, whatever corrections that you will give them, whatever knowledge that you will be extending, make sure that you always type them as well. So you either type them on your chat box or on the board. Okay. Now, aside from these corrections or the knowledge that you've extended, make sure as well that you will type the keywords of the important parts of the lesson so that they will not forget. Okay. Like for example, you already know the target lesson of that book, then type it. Okay. Because most of our students here, teachers, once that this knowledge is new to them, they're going to take note of that so that at least after class, they can still review. Okay. All right. Now, once is that you're already doing the lesson proper, don't forget, teachers, to check your students' comprehension from time to time. Okay. Now, once is that you will check your students' comprehension, as much as possible, don't just ask them, did you understand? Especially, teachers, if you are teaching a young learner. Okay. Because we know these kids, sometimes teachers, even if they really didn't understand the lesson, once you ask them, did you understand? They always answer us with, yes, teacher. Okay. Now, for you to effectively check your students' comprehension, it's either you play games, all right, you do question and answer, okay, and or do some activities, okay. In that way, teachers, you're enjoying, or the student will enjoy your class, but at the same time, you're already checking their comprehension. Okay. All right. Now, any questions when it comes to our checking of students' comprehension? All good so far? Okay, good. Now, teachers, the last part of this lesson proper is make sure that you will also enjoy your class, okay? As much as possible, teachers, try to make your class fun, okay? Because teachers, no matter how smart you will sound in class, no matter how much knowledge you're going to extend, as long as your approach is boring, then your student will not be interested with the class, okay? So, as much as possible, try to make your class knowledgeable, but at the same time, fun. Okay. So, don't forget to always interact with your student, converse with them, play with them, laugh with your student. Okay. All right. Now, once you're done with your lesson proper, then we move on to the wrap up or the closing. Now, teachers, I'm also going to send you a closing PowerPoint just in case you want to use one as well, because this will make your closing or wrap up more organized. Okay. Now, the first thing that you need to do when it comes to wrap up is, of course, to review whatever things the student have learned or whatever things you've taught. Okay. Now, you don't have to review everything because it might take you another 25 minutes. Okay. So only review the parts where you say or which you think is important. So, for example, the vocabularies that you've taught, the sentences, the knowledge that you've extended. Okay. Now, once you're done with the review, then don't forget to give them constructive feedback. Now, when it comes to our feedback, as much as possible, try to use the sandwich method. Okay. Now, for the sandwich method teachers, you will start your feedback by giving them their positive feedback. Okay. So tell them which part they're good at, which skills they're good at. Okay. Now, after that, then you will now give them their areas for improvements. Okay. So, which area do they need to improve? Let's say reading, let's say pronunciation, or let's say constructing of sentences. Okay. Now, after that, then you give them another set of positive feedback. So, maybe this time you can already tell them about how they are in your class. For example, they listened well, they were focused, and they were obedient to whatever instructions you give. Okay. All right. Now, once you're done giving them the feedback, then you will now move on to giving them suggestions. Okay. So, when it comes to your suggestions, teachers, try avoiding giving general suggestions. Okay. Don't just tell your student to read an English book or to watch an English movies, because as we all know, most of these people or most of these students, they are already doing that. Okay. Now, you can still use those suggestions, but try to be a little bit more specific. So, for example, you tell them to watch an English movie, then perhaps you can add that whenever they are watching a movie, they can try to follow or mimic how the characters are saying their lines. And that way, they're not just practicing pronunciation, but at the same time, they might learn new vocabulary or words, and they will also learn a little bit of an accent. Okay. All right. And then, of course, once that you're done giving the suggestions, then don't forget to ask them if they have any questions. Don't forget to remind them to leave you some ratings or stars. Okay. All right. Now, teachers, always remember that whenever you are conducting a class, make sure that your energy is going to be consistent. Okay. So, if during the introduction you've already given 100% of energy level, like your enthusiasm, then make sure that that energy will last up to the wrap up. Okay. Not like you started 100% and then you're slowly going down. So when it comes to the closing part, you're already at your 20%. Okay. All right. Okay. So that concludes our training today. Do you have any questions or any violent reactions?
Okay, so any violent reactions, guys? Or any questions? Anything? All good so far? Everything's clear? Are you sure?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah, guys, I know it's like a lot to take in in like a few hours, but don't worry, everything is being recorded. So if you want to review some parts, you can just, easily rewatch everything, okay? Yeah. So if ever that later on you'll have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, so you have my Skype, message me on Skype, okay? Yeah. Kaya lang, since mamaya na may bayad na. Joke lang.
Ma'am, I already have my class in account.
Is that like your personal account or given by the TM?
I think it's my personal account.
I see. You cannot use it. Yeah,
Okay.
because your TM will be the one to give you your class and account because whatever account that they will give you, that's also the account that they will be providing the student.
All right.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So if you don't have any questions, then before I let you go, I'm gonna leave you some reminders plus our after training task. Okay. Now, teachers, for the reminders, since that you're already done for the training today, then the next thing that you just have to do is you complete the task that your HR has given you. Okay. So I believe your HR also asked you to do your personal data and some of your training courses, right? Yes, now try to finish those task features as soon as possible because those are actually the only things that your TM and your HR is waiting for them to be able to open your classes. So it only means that the sooner you will finish them, the sooner you can also start. Okay, now once that you're already done with the what do you call that? Once you're already done with your personal data and your training courses, then please do inform your HR right away because they will still have to check it. Okay, now once that they have confirmed that you have completed everything, then that's the time that they will help you with your schedule. Okay, all right. Now for the after training task, I'll send the link in our chat box. So please do check the chat box. Now, teachers, once you will open that link, you will see there two tasks. Now, all of the instructions for each task are already there, so please read and follow the instructions carefully. Okay, now please be mindful of our deadlines as well because that is very important. Okay, now if ever that you will have questions regarding the task, whichever task, task one or task two, please again let me know. So you can either just send your questions here in our group chat or you can also just send it to me privately. Okay? All right. So are you sure that you don't have questions for now? Talaga? Lapag ko na Gcash ko para sa bayad mamaya. Okay, charot lang. So if you don't have questions, then I guess we are already done for today. So thank you so much for your time, teachers, and thank you for not falling asleep. Well done. So have a great day, teacher, or have a great evening, and welcome to Acadsoc. In advance, Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Bye.
Thank you po.
No
Happy
problem.
New Year. Bye everyone. Happy New
Bye.
Year.